So is there a karma cycle?
Now, the karma cycle, as when you say karma cycle, it means, what do you mean by that? That
If you do bad things, you can reincarnate, come back, do good
yes,
things.
yes, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, that definitely exists. You see, what the actions that we perform and the words that we utter and the thoughts that we create, you may not get the result of that in one lifetime. Sometimes they're long standing. And so the soul in its journey towards God, towards realizing that it's divine, makes many mistakes, makes many errors, okay? And and of course, some of them are willful, some of them are without their knowledge, and they need to be addressed. So let's say now you committed a crime here in Kenya, okay? And you commit that crime and you run off somewhere, okay? You run off to another country. So the laws of that country won't affect you. But the moment you come back here, you'll be caught for it, isn't it? So in the same way, once we die and the soul continues its journey, it's all right, but when it comes back, it has to pay for what is done, okay? And therefore, it's an immutable law. There's something that you cannot change about that law. And it's for our own good. We have to realize who we are, and we have to come closer to God and go back to God, where we came from. So yes, the karmic cycle continues, okay? If that's what you're saying, yeah, that's the karmic cycle.
And if I have bad karma, can I create it to be good karma when I'm still living before I die?
Oh yes. Now, when you see, we must understand that God is a loving entity. He doesn't want you to suffer. But just like a parent at home, he may tell you, okay, you know what, you've had 2 ice creams, don't have another one. But you keep on having, you keep on having. Now, what does the parent do? He says, let him do it, he'll suffer, then he'll know. Okay? Every time I'm telling him, he's not listening. So what happens? You do the wrong, you continue doing the wrong until you realize where you are, okay? So in the same way, God as a loving parent allows you to do whatever mistakes you want so that you learn the lesson, okay? So when you come here with, of course, your baggage of whatever karmic baggage that you've come here, okay? Now, you want to set it right, okay? You may not, you do not usually remember what you've done wrong because it's from a previous life, you don't remember it. But you can always do it. You can do now, do everything right now so that that is minimized, okay? It may never be completely gone because there's this tiny lesson that you have to learn. Let's say you've been mean to somebody, you've not done your duty by somebody, or you've just been really bad, just made people suffer and things like that, okay? Now, in the next life, you may do good things, you may do that, yeah? But you still have to learn the lesson of love, that love, unconditional love, to love everybody, to be kind to everybody. So a little bit of a pain you might have, but you will have minimized it so much because you've done something good now, okay? You've got your debit, now you're creating a credit so that it's minimized, but in the law of karma, you still have to learn the tiny lesson of love and forgiveness and understanding. So one of the tenets of the Sanatana Dharma is also that it is loving of all and excluding of none. None must be excluded from your love. So that's one thing that we have to learn and live it, that loving and everything, okay? These are not anything new, these tenets. They're not anything different from what we already know. We grow up with this. Be kind to others, do unto your neighbor as you would like your neighbor do unto you. It's nothing new, right? But what happens, our soul should know this, but it doesn't. It's forgotten. And it gets carried away with all the, the beautiful things here that I want this and I want corporate ladder, go up, stamp on everybody and go up. Because we are just so excited about what's happening here, but we've forgotten our soul, what it needs to do, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the tenets same as the commandments? Right?
Tenets are, I'll read them to you, okay, that we are divine, we are all connected, we have come from one source, and it's only God There's no other source. There's only one being. And what we do to ourselves, we do to others. And, the good we do to ourselves, it comes to others. And the good we do to others comes to us, even the bad. And it is God-centered rather than prophet-centered. So we don't have one prophet who told all these things, okay? There were many sages Hinduism goes back to many centuries, many thousands, 10,000, 20,000 years, and they've been passed on. So the sages who meditated and got these, it's them. There's not one prophet, okay? And then it is got no historical date of founding. There's no particular time in history when it started, okay? And it's inherent in all and inclusive of all. So it's there in everybody. This divinity is there in everybody. There's nobody excluded from that, okay? And loving of all and excluding of none. And then there's one big thing is a total free will to choose. You have a total free will to choose every step of the way. So many of them are matching the other commandments and other tenets of other religions. It's quite common. So this free will is a big thing, and people say, oh, but why, when there's an all-loving God and all? I said, yeah, but you have a free will, okay? Right, okay.
I've heard of this myth that people who suffer have bad karma, and the ones who prosper and are rich in life are the ones who have good karma. Is it true?
Yeah, in a way, yes, but it's not the complete story. So, yes, when you suffer, okay, now, if you are suffering as an adult, okay, you're doing everything right. Suffering, let's take one example of suffering. Let's say a disease, okay? So you have a disease and you're doing everything right, you're eating right, you've got the nice thing, but are you really having good thoughts, yeah? It may not be something that's catching up on you from before. It could be something that you're doing wrong now here, okay? It's not a karma that's your book that's now playing up. It could be something that you're doing wrong here. It can be a wake-up call. There are many people who've had cancers and other diseases, and they have gone within and realized which are their thoughts that they're creating, which is creating this disease. It may not be anything to do with the past, okay? But it could be something that's happening here, all right? Now, you may have the karmic theory and reincarnation answers many questions in terms of a child who's born with a fatal disease, let's say, and you say, what has the child done? Why? If there's a loving God, why? There are no answers to that. But if you know that this is what the soul chose to come down and go through in its journey of learning, then it makes sense that this is the soul that has chosen. When we are born, we just are not born randomly here and there. The soul actually chooses its parents, and it chooses those circumstances and those areas where it will progress. So let's say you want to, flourish in this media industry. So what will you do? You'll go and choose the place where you'll get the best opportunity. Whether it's in USA, whether it's in South Africa, where you'll choose that, isn't it? So in the same way, because you want to progress there. So in the same way, the soul who knows that it has to progress towards God will choose the places where it can exhaust its bad times and try to build up good times and all. It's a very, 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 very sensible law, because you need to, you're not just wasting your time on earth here, okay? You're doing what you're supposed to do. So yes, when the child is born like that, you start thinking, is it bad karma catching up? Now don't look at bad karma as something really bad, it's a whip behind you. No, it's what you chose and you're just saying. And what is the duty of everybody else around? They're not supposed to shrug and say, it's a bad karma, let us suffer. They're not supposed to do that. This is a test for us as well. We have to show our unconditional love and affection for them and help them, okay? Give them all the support they need. That's where our test comes in. Now, we don't do that, then what happens? When we are born again, we'll be suffering and nobody will do anything for us. So you see, it just goes on like that. basic behind the scenes is just the soul's progress towards their own divinity and to realize their God. Okay? Right, okay. Was that too